All right, welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk Tech. This is the show that demystifies the software, services, systems, and apps entrepreneurs need to run and grow a profitable business. I'm your host, Winnie Anderson. You can find the show at techshowpodcast.com. That will take you right to the show's page in iTunes. And you can also find the show at theletstalktechshow.com, which is the show's home on the web. We also have a group on Facebook, and that group is designed to answer questions, share testing of tech, give you feedback on things that we're all using and our opinions and how they work, and to give you sneak peeks on technology as we test it. It's also a very safe place for you to go to ask questions no matter what your level of technology. We have folks in the group at every level from novice to expert. And I specifically started this show because of my own frustration with technology. I posted a question about technology to a group I'm involved in on LinkedIn, and I got some of the snarkiest responses I have ever seen. So I managed to somehow reduce going Jersey on them, and I decided that instead I would start a podcast because I know I'm not stupid and I know you're not either. But what we do need is some extra information in how to, in an easy to understand way, and information that's going to help you apply the technology in your own business. And that's what the show is all about. So this is a very special episode today because it is actually the first live episode I've done since the launch of the show back in January 2016. So yes, the show is approaching its 1-year anniversary, and I'm thrilled to have you here. If you are new to the show, and if you are a longtime listener, welcome back. So also today's episode is special because this is going to be sort of like a meta experience where we're going to be talking about webinars, webcasts, virtual events, but you're also going to get to see a sneak peek, get inside of a platform called Shindig. I've actually been following Shindig for a while. I don't know how I managed to find them a few years ago, but I've kept my eye on them, and as live streaming really has taken off in the last few months, I decided to reach out to them to see if I could interview someone, and I was thrilled to have the founder and CEO say yes. So with me today is Steve Gottlieb. He's an entrepreneur, music industry pioneer, and a new media executive. He is founder and CEO of this platform called Shindig. It's really a platform for large-scale online video chat events. And prior to Shindig, Steve founded the independent record label TVT Records and its publishing arm, TVT Music. He discovered the recording artists 9 Inch Nails, Pitbull, and Ja Rule. He has produced the television's Greatest Hits series. He helped to found the independent music organization, I hope I'm going to say this right, A2IM, and served on the boards of Music Match, which was actually sold to Yahoo in 2008. He's also on the board of has served on the board of Napster and TuneUp Media. So welcome, Steve. Are you ready to talk tech?
Winnie, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
And I'm excited to have you here. And I'm also excited to really get a feel for Shindig and what it's all about. So before I start any episode, I always like to get clear on the jargon that we're going to use because that's part of the confusion and frustration around technology. So how do you and Shindig define virtual events?
Well, we actually avoid that term precisely because the word describing online experiences have lost a lot of their meaning. Everyone claims their platform is interactive, even though the degree of interactivity is very different. Likewise, virtual in my mind always had suggested the days of avatars and Second Life and those type of events. So we felt that already had a connotation to it. So we've been left to go to try and be as explicit as possible. So we call them video chat events, but we think video chat itself already has a very specific meaning and understanding, which we're really trying to reinvent entirely.
What would you like to see it progress to?
Well, the inspiration for Shindig was very much the understanding that the technology for one-on-one experiences or communications among a small group of 2, 3, or 4 required one set of technology. And for that, the architecture of the telephone with pictures, which is what early video chat was perfectly adequate. But once you move from 4 people to 40 people, the inadequacy of that architecture becomes clear very quickly. And I guess we thought that needed a different name and a different architecture. And the problem was a lot of the other names really were just video chat with a lot of people, but they weren't different architecture or different functionality. So what Shindig is an attempt to reinvent video chat for large group meetings and other type of large group experiences.
Okay, and can you give an example of the kind of large group experiences that you guys have facilitated?
Well, the types of experiences range from online nightclubs to online classes and everything in between. So we don't support one particular use case. But the basic concept is that in a Shindig, we give each user has their autonomy in the same way they would have it at a physical event. So at a physical event, you naturally come in, you can see who else has come to the event, you can look around the hall or the auditorium, whatever the venue is, you have a sense of context, and you can meet with all the other participants. You could say hi, you can introduce yourself, you can socialize, mingle, network as appropriate. And then the program can begin and someone can take the stage and address the entire audience, and at the appropriate time interact with members of the audience, bring them on the stage or talk to them privately. No other video conferencing or chat program was able to do that before Shindig. They were all effectively just one audio channel, one to many, with very stilted type of interactions. On Shindig, we provide this totally flexible and organic type of architecture where anyone in the audience can sit next to a friend. They can talk to one another and share and kibitz and discuss what's going on the stage, just as they might lean over to someone in an auditorium. And then at the appropriate time, you may take questions from the audience and give them the stage to interact. And so all these different functionalities are things that were never before possible, really.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I first heard about Shindig, that was actually the thing that attracted me most and really piqued my interest most in the platform. I'm an old-time corporate trainer, and I'm used to doing live events and engaging with an audience of anywhere from 6 to 500. So when I moved into the online universe and I started doing, I started with teleseminars and then moved into video, into webinars and all those things. I love teaching. It's really who I am. But the hardest part about it was the lack of visual contact with who I'm talking to. And then at times you're just wondering, am I talking to myself here or what? Because there are no cues to you that they're engaged with you. And it was very cumbersome to try to bring people into the experience.
That reminds me of a speaker I met along the way as we were introducing Shindig into the education vertical. And He's a fairly prominent thought leader, and he discussed that, if you want people to, the learning and teaching is fundamentally social. And if you want to be a good public speaker or a good educator, you have to connect to the audience at least once every 10 minutes. You need to figure out some way to make your information relevant personally to that person. And that kind of checking back with the audience of getting that affirmation that they're kind of connected and they are taking in what you're saying and on board the train, is critical. And that's why a lot of these online experiences that are very much geared to one way, kind of broadcast out with no feedback loop, with no ability to bring the audience in, take their comments, allow them to digest what's being said and process it, fall flat. I think a lot of people give webinars and give these one-way communications with the illusion that they have people's attention. Their uninterrupted, single-minded attention for 60 minutes, are dreaming. People, if they're not interacting with your platform, they're opening up another window, they're doing their email, they're doing something else. They just don't give their attention like that.
Yeah, you're deluding yourself, frankly, if you think you're that riveting that people are going to be just glued to the pearls of wisdom that pop out of your mouth. So, yeah, you have to structure that learning experience very well, and then train yourself to really be a lot more interactive when you're running this kind of experience. It's similar but very different from traditional stand-up training in a lot of ways, and I think that I think it's fascinating. It's added this element of engagement because learning is social, it is interactive, and it is truly an organic experience. If you, as the instructor, can't go with the audience and can't flow where they are, I don't know that you're that particularly fascinating as an instructor. And while we all plot a content structure that is built around what we believe is needed, it has to be organic and in the moment for it to be really powerful, I think.
And also, my background was I had a record label, as you mentioned before, I had a record label for many years. So I was also very familiar with the pressures that being on stage or being in front of a mic placed on talent of having to carry the program and sustain the energy and the audience engagement for long periods of time. And successful programming has long recognized that interaction with an audience is also provides a great stimulus for talent, a great thing to respond to, and those unscripted moments, help keep talent, active and fresh and on top of their own game, which is why I think one of the great applications of this technology, I think, is to the extent podcasting is now coming to its own as a whole new medium of expression and communication, that by enabling podcasters to do live sessions of their podcasts that can now become interactive and involve questions from their super fans and end each session with a Q&A session that involves their super fans, that can really help make the content that ends up being part of the podcast, more compelling and than otherwise.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It harkens back to the days of live TV, but at a whole new level. And I think the whole thing is really fascinating. So let's talk a little bit about these virtual events, the chats and all of that. Entrepreneurs understand, we're going to talk specifically about with the language that they use, of course, webinars, webcasts, virtual events, that sort of thing. So we all know that webinars really are a powerful tool and they're useful at every step in the sales process. But we've talked about how they've been one-sided. I know that those platforms, those new platforms, they've used the chat window. At this point, that's almost, I can see it becoming kind of like chiseling on stone tablets at some point when you have that opportunity to really engage. Can you talk a little bit about, though, how the facilitator can manage that, not just with the exercises and Q&A, but what are some other things that you would encourage a presenter to do to really involve the audience, do you think?
Well, we take a slightly different view on chat, as you might imagine, on text chat. Those waterfall chats or the cascade of comments, they work in events of maybe 10 or 20, but they're not really scalable. And when it becomes a large event, they go by too fast. And rather than being conversational, where you can really respond to one comment and have a thread going on, the minute they lose that conversational quality, they end up being just a vehicle for people to yell out into the void. And in that sense, they very quickly degrade to the lowest common denominator for people to act out, to hijack events, or and to do things that may not be appropriate. So we made a conscious decision not to support a waterfall feature. Our notion of chat is it should be purposeful. So audience members can chat amongst themselves either in video chat or in text. They can send an IM message to individuals or to groups, but someone can't IM the 500 people in the event a message, because that would be kind of like the equivalent of heckling during an event where you're trying to, we give the host complete control over who can address everyone in the hall.
Okay.
Similarly, if the audience member wants to interact with the host or the stage, they have the opportunity to click the two buttons on the lower right. They can either raise their hand and signal that they want to be brought to the stage, or they can submit a written question that the administrator of the event can bring to the attention of the host. And at various points in time, then they can bring audience members to the stage.
Okay.
So we do try and kind of channel the event into a constructive path of people kind of being guided toward following the program and interacting at the appropriate times in the appropriate ways.
One of the challenges, though, that we all have as facilitators, whether we're doing a live event or a virtual one, is keeping those participants who are engaged on topic, keeping them focused, and managing the event. Is that the kind of thing that you think requires the host to have at least one admin with them to provide that, whether it's vetting of the potential guest who wants to talk?
It depends. If your event is 30 people, then you could do it yourself. If your event is 300 people, then you probably want an admin who might answer quick administrative questions in a text and without having to bring people to the stage, comment with the questioners. Oh, we'll take that. We'll address that in 2 minutes. Oh, that was a great questioner. We'll bring you up next. They can also screen people in video chat, get them ready, say your camera's great, you look great, you're up next as well. So yeah, it depends entirely on the size of the event and the expectations of the audience.
Right. Okay.
If it's a paid event, then audience will, where they're promised certain type of experience, that's one thing. If it's a lead generation event where it's just to give people a taste or promote something, then they're going to expect a different kind of experience.
Right. Okay. So yeah, those people normally don't have that much involvement with the speaker when the presentation is going on, when it's a lead gen event. So I think that one of the common mistakes with somebody who is maybe getting their feet wet in doing live events is that I can do it myself. And I'm notorious for this because I really believe I can do anything myself. But as somebody who actually supported people on live webinars, I was often one of sometimes 2 or 3 other admins who were all orchestrating it. And yeah, the events could run anywhere from 40 people to as many as 300, I think we had at one point. But I think that's a common mistake, believing that you can do it yourself. Can you identify a couple of other mistakes that you've seen people make in leading their first few events with Shindig?
Well, I think, it's very important as the technology becomes more powerful, people understand that you're picking up something powerful, and therefore the opportunity to make mistakes increases. So you can imagine, we're a technology for people to have parties. Now, if you're throwing a birthday party for 20 people, you may not have to plan a great deal, and you can do it yourself and do a great job. If you're doing a birthday party for 300 people and you've gone to the trouble of renting a very expensive hall that has lots of functionality that maybe you can't operate without help, well, then you would be wrong to think just because I can save a lot doesn't mean I don't need expertise to make it great. I could certainly throw a party, but to take full advantage of the hall and all its functionality, it's going to help if I have some input. The biggest place where you probably need help is not really in the running. We tried to cut the cost down and make it very efficient. You don't need a camera crew, but you do need an admin. You also need a producers involved to think about how am I going to message the event? How am I going to organize the event? How am I going to get people to attend? We've spent as much energy on our technology for onboarding guests, collecting RSVPs, and trying to create community create the tools for our clients to create community, as on the actual technology for within the event itself, because both things are critical. And the third piece, the exploitation post-event, which is also an equally important part of, it's really those 3 pillars that make an event.
Yeah, that's really well said. It is pre-event and post that lead to that smooth process. And even if somebody doesn't buy, you at least want them to feel like a welcomed part of your community, so that they'll stay around and wait for the next event and be nurtured and become a stronger, even just an advocate for you. So yeah, I think that is very, very critical. You're right. So are all of Shindig events, are they paid? Are they free? Does it depend? Do you have that ability to connect with a shopping cart? How does that work?
So our clients use it for free events. They use it for events where they are ticketed, and we have a paywall that we can put in if clients want it. We do private events, public events. Our clients will give us a guest list. We did one really interesting event recently for PBS and our American Masters, where they sent out invites to members, and so that was kind of an exclusive membership experience with Norman Lear, but then the experience was streamed through our integration with Facebook Live, and so the general public could participate on Facebook Live. So there are innumerable different models, and we really think our clients should use all of them. Use it to build community, lead generation, premium events, use it for low-cost production of recordings, like podcasts or whatever. I mean, online events serve a wide variety of needs.
Right. So how about repurposing the material? You mentioned that it can be beamed through Facebook as well. Is there, and which then produces a recording? Is there some way that an event in general is recorded and the recording provided to the facilitator?
The client gets an MP4 copy of the event, and they then can take the audio of that and make it into a podcast or multiple podcasts. They could take the video, edit it down to 3 to 5 minute segments to share on social media, and they can put the video up on their website or on YouTube, or create highlights from it or archive it, however they see fit.
Awesome. Great. So, there are all kinds of platforms out there, and obviously you have worked hard to create a very distinct platform. Who do you see this being right for? And is there an ideal user that you envision for this?
Well, I would say for our under 20-person events, or certainly under 12, there are plenty of other platforms that are available. That's not our special sauce. And certainly for some people, the traditional webinar, where it's really one-to-many, they're not interested much in questions. Those type of technologies are mature and great. For other large-scale engagements, I think we're the ideal technology and are far superior, because that's what we were built from the get-go, from the beginning. We're not a gloss on something else or a repurposing of something else. This was conceived of and built from day one, from square one, as a large event platform servicing all the needs of an organizer of such an event. So that is our focus and our mission, to really make the dynamics of in-person events realizable online, which we really regard in a very deep way as the next fulfillment of the promise of the internet. We've democratized information and made information totally accessible across the globe to anyone. We want to democratize that same access to people in the way that they communicate, not just one-to-one, but as large functioning collaborative sharing communities, synchronously, which is different from IMing people or Facebooking or tweeting or all the other asynchronous things that we have.
Yeah, so I think in addition to the size of the event is also that vibe, that magic something that you're trying to create for someone who really wants to have a truly interactive experience. And maybe the subject matter demands a truly interactive experience where people can genuinely engage and not just post on one of those chat walls, as you're saying. Then this is definitely worth looking at. So since we have some folks in the audience, how about if we demonstrate the democratization of the process and see if we can get some questions?
That would be great.
All right, I can just imagine that I can see Gail is there. So Gail, you were here yesterday. Do you have a question for Steve, or would you like to be part of the demo of the whole process? Now, you would.
Hey, Gail.
Hey, Steve. Okay, stuff behind the stage. Hey!
How are you?
I'm doing great. So, yeah, I got all of it. Now, Winnie asked some really good questions. So every time I had a question that came to my head, she asked it. So I'm like, okay, I'm covered. That part was good. So I guess because I'm on this side of the screen, I was trying to figure out when I initially came on, I had it was Winnie was big, no, Winnie was a little small, and you were large. And so was she switching screens in the back, or were you guys doing it? I was just trying to figure out how this was working.
The admin of the event has the ability to push to full screen any one of the broadcast pods, just
Okay.
like they did now with me.
Okay, so I'm a pod. This is a pod.
Right,
This is
right.
okay.
And likewise, the audience members have the ability to close the full screen and override that. So the producer of the event has the ability to kind of produce it a little bit like their own TV show and moving the cameras and the focus, but then the audience member still retains autonomy, and if they want to reposition it or change it, they can do it themselves. Now, I have a question for you, Gail.
Yes.
Isn't it early for the Christmas lights?
No. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Y'all don't understand. In fact, I told my son this morning, the election has driven me nuts. I'm like, I need some happy stuff. So I'm just about ready to start listening to the holiday music, which I normally don't do until December, but I'm like, I don't know. So,
Let me
but
be the first to say happy holidays.
thank you, thank you. But the other thing, though, is something you said, which is very important to me, which is I am planning. Okay, wait a minute. I'm doing stuff, and I don't mean to do this. There are things popping up. Okay, I see what I did. That little toolbox kind of popped up, and I'm like, wait, where's it coming around? Okay, so I'm doing an event. Actually, starting Black Friday, I'm creating a home shopping network for the holidays, right? And so where I want people to come and demo their products, it's like they do on QVC or Home Shopping. And we did it last year. So we had we had about at least about 300 people that came through the virtual event. And so I heard you say that if there's about 20 people, and that's another reason why I have the holiday lights up, because I was getting ready to do a promo for that. But I heard you say if you have 20 people, you can use one of the other platforms, but this is mainly for using it if you have more than that. Now, I was curious, is the background, can is that is just always there? You know what I mean? So in other words, like right now, oh, it's not. Okay, okay.
No, totally customizable.
Oh, really?
Yes, you change that. So every host chooses their own background. It could be any JPEG. It could be a solid color. It could
Oh,
be
snap. Okay.
carries branding, whatever you want.
Okay, okay. That's definitely good to know. That's definitely good to know.
It can also have widgets. So it can have hot buttons that say, buy this or sign up for this or download this or fill out this form. So it has all kinds of other, there are a lot of rich additional feature sets that go along with the platform.
Okay, okay. That is definitely good to know. So that was one of my main questions. Okay, so I did hear you say that I think I heard you say this. This can or cannot be streamed through Facebook.
It can.
It can.
So the whole interactive stream can be put through to your Facebook Live page.
Uh-huh.
So all your Facebook fans can see it there.
Okay. Okay.
They can't ask a video chat question unless they come in onto Shindig.
Right.
Right. But if you're monitoring Facebook Live while your Shindig is going on, you can answer their questions as well.
Okay.
So you can decide, do I want to platform it and make the Shindig exclusive, but also use Facebook Live to broadcast it, or do I want to try and unify the two?
Okay. All right. And when Winnie initially sent this out, I registered And then I was able to get information coming through. So is this a platform where no one can just come? You have to have registered in order to even know that this link exists, or for your person to come in? How does that work? Or can anybody walking off the street find this?
You as the host would decide. When you create an event, you get the URL. You decide, I'm going to do an email blast. I'm going to tweet about it. I'm going to put it on my social media. The advantage is, one thing we noted in the past, and this is true of Facebook Live and to certain of the other platforms, that since there's not a sense of appointment viewing for online events, collecting RSVPs and notifying people and then being able to send them an automatic reminder is important. Right. So by giving you that URL in advance, it allows you to get people to sign up. Then our system automatically sends them out a confirmation and a reminder. You can customize that reminder and how many times it gets sent and when it gets sent and what other messaging you send them. So you have the ability to customize that, but it's all built in, all the tools you would need to maximize, whatever audience you're trying to reach.
And so when a person registers as the presenter, would I have access to their name and email so I can know who exactly signed up?
The host gets, as part of the package, you get the name and emails of all the attendees.
Okay, that's awesome. That is good. Okay. I think that was all the questions that I had.
Cool.
I can go. But this is pretty cool. Now I don't know if because I see this in beta, and I don't know if you have or are planning on going over the pricing.
We typically take a percentage of the revenue generated on revenue generating events. A low percentage, or the lion's share, goes to the host. And on free events, we have a minimum fee involved, which is in the hundreds of dollars per event.
Okay. So, because I didn't know if you did it like blocks of time or whatever, like some of the other ones.
We also do it on their contract, because what we're really looking to do is have long-term relationships with people, and so we have annual contracts.
Right. Okay.
That provide service as well.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Well, that is.
Well, thank you, Gail. Great to meet you.
All right, you too. And when you can toss me or whatever.
Gail is Gail is a live event producer, and she has her live stream shows. So in conversation right now, I won't jinx it. She's in conversation with a person who just screams out her own show with live video and interactive audience. So this is certainly something to continue to consider, that, Gail, I think. And how about anybody else? Anybody else have a question for Steve, so you can experience the feel of the whole platform? Going once? Can this be accessed on phone and iPad? That's a great question.
Hi, George. So that's a great question indeed. The reason why we have the beta label on is in fact has to do with our mobile capabilities. Right now, our mobile app allows you to view the show, but not to participate in video. And we'll be releasing in 2 weeks our mobile version, where you'll be able to take the stage and publish your own video, not just audit an event. And at that point in time, we'll be taking the beta label off. So right now it's not fully mobile. It will be in about 2 weeks' time.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank Steve for taking time out of his day twice, and for joining us today to go over the platform and help us learn more about Shindig and to see how it works. And just a reminder, you've been watching and been part of Let's Talk Tech. We are on iTunes at techshowpodcast.com and on the show's website at theletstalktechshow.com. So I hope you will check out other episodes and subscribe, and you can get every episode delivered directly to your inbox. Steve, it's been a great pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing big things from Shindig.
Oh, Winnie, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to hang out in the audience. If anybody wants to talk further, I'll hang out and be available. Winnie, thank you again.
You're welcome.